Hey everyone, it's your boy Big L PhD. It's your boy Big L PhD. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to check out this video. I want to have a conversation today about how to have difficult conversations. How do you have a difficult conversation? In our life, right, we have been conditioned to try to, or many of us have, to avoid confrontation, to avoid difficult situations that make us uncomfortable, make us anxious, uneasy, make our blood pressure go up, make our we get the sweats, get the clammy hands, the dry throats, all these different physiological responses to being in an uncomfortable situation. But nevertheless, the conversation has to be had. I'm going to have one myself, and it's a difficult conversation, but we have to have them. And this is true, I think, for your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, for your job, one with your parents, sometimes with your children, teachers, et cetera, right? And I think, and I always say, I think it's a good thing that we are feeling some type of uneasiness when we are about to engage in these type of conversations, because it tells me a lot of times if you're not uneasy about something, in some way, not always, but in many ways, if you're not uneasy about having a difficult conversation with someone, then you probably don't have that much respect for them. You probably are moved and operating in a sense of emotions, and that's never good to make decisions when you're emotional or angry or upset. And and if you're level-headed, thinking things through clearly, then you recognize the when, the where, the why, and the how about how to have these conversations. So first is, you should not be having these conversations when and if you're in a place of emotional distress, angry, upset, sad, whatever, because you never know what you're liable to say, never know what's liable to come out of your mouth. So wait till a calm demeanor by yourself and by the other person, right? Don't just bombard somebody because I got to get this off my chest and I got to let this person know how I feel. I don't care what that person's feeling. They got to deal with me because they upset me, because this is the situation, and we got to handle this because I can't sleep at night. You've already set yourself up for failure, for an angry response, whatever. All right. So first is make sure you're in a good mental space to have such conversation. Second is not only a mental space, but a good physical space. Again, right? Where are you going to have this conversation? You can't, if you're going to have a conversation with your spouse, obviously you're not going to have it in the middle of the grocery store, right? This is when we see people like this who are not in control of their emotions and are trying to have these conversations in which they want to set people straight, right? They want to stand on business, set them straight, let them know you ain't one either. Then, you gotta, obviously choose the right place and time with your boss. Make sure that they're in a good space physically and emotionally as well. And then, plan out what you're going to say. Plan out what you're going to say and plan for the good, plan for the bad, and have a response to the good and to the bad. And I'm going to impress upon people not to deliberately push people's buttons or say things to upset them. It seems as if we have entered into a time when people just don't care about other people's feelings. And that's why I said, if you're getting uneasy about having a conversation, I think that shows a level of maturity on your part, that you recognize that this could go wrong or bad or whatever. And you're concerned about that. It's people who aren't concerned, who are the narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, who aren't concerned about other people and the repercussions of their actions and all that. I also don't believe in burning bridges. I just don't believe in burning bridges. By that, you shouldn't burn a bridge or do something or say something that you can't take back and that when you want to circle back around, that opportunity isn't there for you again. Whether it's your job, relationship, school, whatever. Shouldn't burn bridges. It's my philosophy. So plan out what you're going to say. Think it through. Think about how it could go. It's going to go badly. What do you think? It's going to go great. It's going to go okay. Right? And have responses. Right? Do your homework. Do your research. If you need to know dates, times, circumstances, particularly if you're going to talk to a boss, maybe you've been overlooked for promotions, you've been overlooked for whatever, and you want to have some ammunition when and if you want to tell the boss in a respectful way, a piece of your mind. But don't give them the full piece, because some of us can't spare the piece, right? So again, be respectful. Don't burn bridges. Don't get fired. Don't get sued. Don't get to a fight, physical altercation. And so we've covered the mental aspect. We've covered the physical space where you should do it at. Covering not burning bridges. Covering, thinking out what you're going to do. And then, of course, is the execution of it, which is just, hey, listen, this is what it is. I mean, no disrespect. I mean this is the best possible way. Don't use profanity. And just be honest and straightforward and cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. Let's get to the action. It's uncomfortable. We already know it's uncomfortable, but the sooner we get to it, the sooner we can get over it. The sooner we can make our thoughts known. And the sooner we can, decide on which path or avenue we're going to take. Either we're going to fix this thing, we're going to rectify it, come up with some solutions, or we're going to choose to part ways, or we're going to choose to work things through. These are some of the steps that we have to do in order to fix these situations. Having a difficult conversation is not easy. We've established that. Ergo the word difficult. But I think at the end of the conversation, you will feel as if there is a load off your chest, particularly if you've done this in the right manner. You have let your opinion be known, made your feelings known, made your thoughts known, and if you've done it in a respectful way, they will respect you, at least for saying it and for being upfront and honest. You may have unintentionally hurt their feelings. You may have disappointed them in a certain way. You may have let them down. Whatever. But you have to know that you have set yourself up for a future success between the relationship and between your job or whatever it is, right? You set yourself up for a future success because you've done it in a respectful way, and they will always respect you for that. If they're a mature, competent person. A lot of people in here are not mature, not competent. So, driving along here, something hit my car. It's crazy. So those are just some of the ways that we can have a difficult conversation, right? So, mental space, physical space, timing, planning out what you're going to say, making sure not only that you're in a good space mentally, physically, but whoever you're going to have the conversation with is in the same thing. You can't, how many times, I can't tell you, again, I was a police officer, I can't tell you how many times we had to go to people's jobs because their boyfriend or girlfriend showed up. And I'll never forget, there was this couple that was at a community college. They were both instructors there, and they were arguing today. And the guy was so embarrassed. He was so embarrassed. I don't know. We had to end up having to arrest the wife. She had driven off and crashed his car. It was just a mess. And I was embarrassed for the guy. It was just a bad situation. It was just a bad situation. But she had things on her mind that she just couldn't get past and couldn't table until there was a more opportune time, until tempers had calmed down. She just couldn't do it. So males too, going up in these ladies' jobs and darn near getting them fired and all kind of foolishness. So watch all that, and then also make sure that the other person is in good space. Be upfront. Don't beat around the bush. I personally can't stand when people beat around the bush. I cannot stand that. Listen, here's what it is. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I think. Here's my opinion. I know that we talked about this before. I've got to bring it up again. However you want to word it, or whatever your terminology is, bring it up. Talk about it. Let's get it on the table and let's discuss it. There's rational human beings, understanding that, always, in particular, I said have a plan for things go good, but always have a plan for things go bad. Remember to remain calm. Remember that it's going to be the possibility of a tense conversation with back and forth and disagreements and argument. But you have to control yourself and not let the disagreement turn into an argument, which can turn into a physical altercation. You have to be mature about this. Plan for that. Plan for that. How are you going to stay calm? How are you going to control your emotions? Make a plan for that. Make a plan for that. And then once you've discussed it, feel a load off your chest, a burden off your shoulders. And then, whatever rectification that you've come to, whatever way that you're going to proceed, stick to that. Be a person, be a man of your word, be a woman of your word. Stick to it. So those are just some of the ways that I think that you should have difficult conversation. I'm going to have one myself, so I'm processing how I'm going to have this difficult conversation. Because you don't want to let anyone down. That's another thing too. You don't want to make anybody mad. It's difficult because you don't want to make anybody mad. You don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. You don't want to do all that. But yet and still, the difficult conversation has to be had. So I hope that I said something today that you can take to heart, put into practice, and go by. So if you made it this far in the video, make sure you do me a favor, hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. If you want to hear anything else that you got a subject or topic that you're really not sure about, feel free to hit me up. I will certainly try to do it. If you're looking for life coach, consulting services, etc., check me out on LinkedIn. Check me out on lmhconsultingservices.com, LinkedIn. Send me an email, biglphd@gmail.com. And let's make ourselves the best version of ourselves. Part of making ourselves the best versions of ourselves is having difficult conversations, looking in the mirror, taking a good analysis of ourselves, and working on our strengths and our weaknesses. Until next time, much love and peace.